Today, what I want to do is I want to speak to you a little bit about the past, the present, and the future of Alibaba. So, as Chris mentioned, Alibaba was founded in 1999 by Jack Ma, who back then and also today is a very humble person, even though he is one of the richest people in the world. Back then, some of you might know, he was an English teacher. So he went to America, he got to see the first search engine, he got to look for some keywords which were China, then he looked up beer, he found a couple of products, and then he wrote the combination of beer and China and realized that he couldn't find any information on Chinese beer, which is when he had the idea of helping Chinese companies to go out into the world. And that was sort of the first starting point in 1999 when he created Alibaba.com, a wholesale trading platform to connect Chinese companies with international buyers. And since the foundation in 1999, the mission of Alibaba has always been to make it easy to do business anywhere. And this is something that is really deeply ingrained in our company DNA, and in anything that we do, that's sort of what we are trying to achieve. Going back to the 70s, here you see two pictures, one of Chinese infrastructure back then. This is the Baochun Pagoda in Hangzhou. Hangzhou is the headquarters of Alibaba, which is about 180 kilometers southwest of Shanghai. And on the right side, you see some Chinese consumers. And what you might notice is that back then, people didn't really have a lot of choice, and they dressed very similarly. If you fast forward 50 years to present-day China, you'll see that infrastructure has changed a lot. You see the landmark buildings of Hangzhou, which today is a 9.2 million strong populated city, bigger than Austria. And on the right side, you also see the Chinese consumers. But maybe these are not sort of the Chinese consumers, but these are sort of the ideals that Chinese consumers like to identify themselves. And what is important to remember is, or keep in mind, is that today Chinese consumers have a lot of choice, right? So today, more than ever before, through their increased income, they really have a lot of choice. And one number I want to quickly mention is that when Alibaba started in 1999, the average GDP per capita was at $870 US. In 2017, the official number was that $8,800. So that's a compounded annual growth rate of 14%. And if you think about it, then you'll realize how much more income Chinese have today, and what they really like to do is to increase the quality of living for their family, and that's why I'm here to help them find great mother and baby products from Europe. Another important trend, apart from choice, is mobile. So if you look at the population in China, which today is 1.4 billion people, roughly 800 million are today connected to the internet. That's a lot, but it also shows that still 600 million people are still not connected to the internet. And again, when we started 20 years ago, only, I believe, something roughly like 7 million people in China were connected to the internet. And of these 800 million people, most of them really came online in the recent sort of 5 to 10 years, and they also leapfrogged desktop computing for maybe two reasons. First of all, smartphones are much cheaper than a laptop, and secondly, a smartphone is also much more convenient to access the internet. So mobile is the predominant trend that you have to keep in mind when thinking about Chinese consumers. As Chris mentioned, the Chinese middle class is growing very fast, and most of these people really live in the cities that are larger than 1 million people. So today we have 102 cities bigger than a million, which will grow probably to over 200 in the next 10 years. So Alibaba today, a few numbers so that you can grasp what Alibaba is. Today we have around 636 million active consumers in our platform that purchase within a year. Through our platform, around 70 million packages are generated daily. And in total, over the past year, we have generated $768 million in gross merchandise value, of which around 90% is transacted through mobile phones. To give you a very brief overview of the Alibaba ecosystem, you'll see at the top 3 pillars which sort of our consumer-facing services are made of. Core commerce is really our e-commerce platforms, like Tmall, our domestic platform, Tmall Global, our cross-border platform. And then you might have heard of AliExpress, our business-to-consumer, China to the world e-commerce platform, or Lazada, which is the biggest e-commerce platform in Southeast Asia. The second pillar is mobile media and entertainment. So this is where we really engage with our consumers through entertainment, content, gaming, like Youku, which is the Chinese YouTube, Tudo, Weibo, the Chinese Twitter. And this is really sort of where we engage with the consumers in order to anticipate how they behave, but also where we maybe can catalyze their behavior in certain directions, and where a lot of data is created, which we can use to improve our services continuously. And lastly, local services. This is where actually sort of all of our technology and data comes together, which is where we try to improve the offline world of the Chinese consumer by using data. So Fliggy, for instance, is our travel booking platform. It's the second largest travel booking platform in China. Ele.me is food delivery services. And then at the bottom right, you'll see Hema, or Fresh Hippo, which is our supermarket chain, which I'm going to talk about shortly. And at the bottom, you really see sort of the 4 core foundations, which are mainly directed to our merchants and traders to support them with their sort of business by offering them the convenience of financial services and payments, helping them with logistics. Also, similarly to what Philip has been talking about, we also offer analytics services and advertising, Alimama. And lastly, we also have a cloud computing arm, which is called Alibaba Cloud, which today is among the top 3 cloud computing providers globally. So if you look at it, we are an e-commerce platform, but we are so much more. And Jack Ma refers to us not anymore as an e-commerce platform, but more a data technology platform, which, if you would compare it to the Western world, is sort of like Amazon, Google, and Facebook together in sort of one ecosystem. The whole ecosystem shows itself the best during one day, which is Singles Day. It's November 11th. The biggest worldwide shopping festival. Last year on November 11, we generated $30.8 billion in GMV. And I think the one thing that I really want to highlight is that during that day, the consumers also really are looking for Western products, and the top 5 import countries are Japan, the US, South Korea, Australia, and Germany, right? Which is sort of our region and very important. And what Chinese consumers are really looking for, you can break down in 6 core categories: mother and baby, my category, beauty, fashion, healthcare, personal care, and food. And because we are here talking about mother and baby products today, I quickly want to show you this chart, which shows the mother and baby market in China. So today, the mother and baby market in China has grown to 3 trillion RMB per year, which is 400 billion US dollars. And this is really driven through, as Chris said, 17 million babies that are born yearly in China, and also the young consumer demographic, because the young parents that were born in the 80s and the 90s are sort of the main consumers, which are looking for quality products, mainly from overseas. Now I ask you, please don't take a photo of this chart. I just quickly want to give you a brief overview of how our platform has developed in the last year. So you probably know that infant formula, all the standard products has been very strongly growing in China. But more and more, what I'm here to do for Alibaba and for the Chinese consumers is really look for non-standard quality products, which, as you can see at the bottom right, are really coming from the EU, because we have the companies that produce high-quality good products, but we really need to find a way to educate the Chinese consumer about these products, and then help brands to really find the right way to enter the Chinese market. Now, how can Chinese foreign brands enter the Chinese market? I quickly want to give you sort of this overview, which summarizes our different platforms. Essentially, it starts with Tmall.com, which is our domestic marketplace, and which is also the biggest e-commerce platform within China. This platform is really where all the business is happening, where local but also international large companies are listed with a flagship store. For this, you have to have a domestic entity. You have to import your products into the Chinese market, and you have to also certify your products for the Chinese market. You pay taxes locally, you pay import duty, etc. Secondly, which might be more relevant for distributors and international brands and retailers, is our cross-border platform, which is called Tmall Global. And what we have created here is really an easy entry to the Chinese market by offering brands the possibility to list on this platform and being able to sell the products from overseas directly to the Chinese consumer without needing to import the products, and with the benefit of not needing to certify the products for the Chinese market. So it's a perfect platform to really test new products and see how they are received with the Chinese consumer. For the really top-selling items that we see within our platform, we also work with distributors and brands directly in a wholesale model. So we will engage with these brands to bring the products directly to China in bonded warehouses, so that the Chinese consumer doesn't have to wait too long to receive their products. And very soon, in this month, we're going to open also a new channel, which is going to be a consignment model, where we offer brands to put their products into our Frankfurt warehouse and then send products directly over to the Chinese consumer. So essentially what we're doing is we're constantly looking for ways to lower the barrier of entry to the Chinese market in a let's say, risk-free way to brands. Now, we talked a little bit about the Chinese consumer, and I want to quickly give you an idea of how the Chinese e-commerce world differs quite drastically to the Western world. As you've seen maybe from our previous speaker, product listings in the West are very clean, very good pictures, very short. And I think every one of you has heard of Dyson. And at the left side, you see the Dyson UK website, which is very clean. It has essentially only sort of 6 pages. You get all the necessary information within sort of one view. Compared to that, you'll see the Tmall flagship store of Dyson, which shows you that it has around 20 pages where the consumer can really engage with the brand and learn much more, learn about the product, the technology behind it, how to use the product, which product works best for which hair type, and you can also maybe learn a bit about the founder of the company. So the Chinese consumer today is much more sophisticated, and really you have to think much deeper of how to engage with your customer, because in China, if a customer is looking, or a potential customer is looking for your product, the first entry or the first place they're looking for is really the online platform like Tmall. Brands don't really have their own e-commerce website, online shop, because Chinese consumers will always go to the platform. I want to spend 5 more minutes, if that's fine, on a topic sort of looking into the future. Chris asked me to talk a little bit about new retail. New retail is really something where we are bringing together all of our core competencies and our knowledge, and especially with data, to improve also the offline world. Because according to the Chinese government, the e-commerce market in China has now grown to a 24% online share of the retail market, which says 2 things. First of all, e-commerce is very important, but secondly, if you're in e-commerce, you're also missing out on a very big piece of the cake in the retail market. So, and then the third thing is offline retail offers a lot of important touch points in the consumer experience that you can't recreate in the online world, right? So new retail in the West, you might know it as omni-channel, offline to online. We call it new retail because it's a real new format of engaging with the consumer on a daily basis. And you see a couple of different formats that we have tried and that we are engaged in currently. And I really want to highlight 2 of them, which is our supermarket Fresh Hippo, and then also give you an example of how we partnered with Intersport. Actually, when you mentioned about your grandmother with the Tante Emma Laden, we are also trying to improve the shopping experience of corner shops, because corner shops in China are a very important retail format for the Chinese consumer. And we are not planning to take them out of business, but what we're really trying is to help them improve their product assortment and also to freshen up their look, because China is so dispersed that these shops continue to be very important, but we want them to be also successful in, let's say, the mobile and online era. We also do a lot in the rural areas where we help local communities with logistics, e-commerce, and also entrepreneurship. And now coming to Fresh Hippo, this is really sort of where all of the knowledge comes together, where we have created a supermarket that combines 3 things. It combines fresh food. You can have very fresh seafood in the storefront. Secondly, you can go there and you can have dinner, lunch, or breakfast. So you can pick your lobster. You can take it to a stall which is located on the outside of the supermarket. You can have it cooked and then consume it at tables which are sort of scattered throughout the shop. And lastly, what you also see is that in the shop you have sort of conveyor belts which actually act as a fulfillment center. So if you live in a 3-kilometer radius around this Hema or Fresh Hippo supermarket, you can order through that app whatever groceries that you need, and within 30 minutes, these products get picked and packed and put on a scooter, and then you get your groceries delivered back home. And the second example that I really want to highlight is sort of a partnership that we have done with Intersport, a Swiss retail chain. So what we did here is sporting goods. That whole market is really on the rise. Chinese consumers are also trying to live healthier, and we partnered with them to take their #1 retail flagship store in Beijing to transform it into a new retail megastore. And I'll quickly run that video so that you understand what it's all about.
The Chinese are embracing a healthier and more active lifestyle, and as a result, the retail market for sporting goods is on the rise. As one of the biggest names in sports retail, the Switzerland-based Intersport certainly stands to benefit from this booming demand. How does it do it? By partnering up with Alibaba's Tmall to transform its flagship store in Beijing's popular historic shopping district into the first new retail megastore. Let me take you on a tour. Here at Intersport, the interactive show window can detect when people are walking by and showcases different products to entice shoppers to walk inside. Inside the store, customers shop by using the mobile Taobao app on their phones. By scanning the barcode, within seconds, customers can get information and even reviews of the products so they can make a more informed decision. Here's the cloud shelf. This cool technology allows customers to browse through all the products Intersport offers, including those not on display in the store. Love it but can't decide? No rush. The virtual shopping bag lets you make the purchase whenever and wherever you want. Tmall's new retail technology makes it easier to shop for sneakers. Each shoe is equipped with a motion sensor and a unique ID. As soon as a customer picks up a shoe off of the shelf, information about the shoe will pop up on the screen. Find the one you like? Next step is to try it on. The thing about sports gear is it's part utility and part fashion. This magic mirror is a real hit. The AI-powered mirror can recommend matching items to any product that's held up in front of it. It is like having your own fashion advisor. One really cool feature about this megastore, you can leave the store without carrying a single bag, no matter how many items you buy. Thanks to Cainiao's smart logistics solutions and a third-party partners such as Dianwoda, all your Intersport purchases can be delivered within 2 hours if you're within a 5-kilometer radius. This means you can shop your heart out and still walk around Beijing without lugging any heavy bags. Enjoy the fun and convenience of instant shopping. And if you're like me who loves to buy gifts for others, this megastore can deliver any items to your friends and family anywhere in the country. With Alibaba's integrated platform, the store clerk can also be your online personal shopping guide. Through mobile Taobao, she can send you the latest information of any new arrivals or promotional events. By having so many Tmall's new retail technologies all under one roof, Intersport is racing ahead of its competitors in China.
All right, so I think what you can see here is that new retail is really about the experience of the consumer to make it more convenient, to make it easier, but also more entertaining for the consumer to shop. So it's constantly, what we're doing is we are rethinking logistics, delivery, and also the whole fulfillment behind it, increasing the sort of improving the experience both online, offline, or any combination of that. And what I want to leave you with is a quote of Jack Ma, who recently said, e-commerce is going to disappear in a few years because it's not about online and offline, but really what it is that the digitized business is going to increasingly influence the offline retail and traditional industries. And Alibaba is constantly trying to rethink that, constantly trying to innovate in this direction. And we do hope that, in the beginning I said, talking about the future. The future in China is already happening today. It sounds like the future for us in Europe, but we are really eager to work with brands and also hope to bring that to the Western world very soon. Thank you.